An exclusive report by CNN has stated that intel was received by American authorities on a plot by Iran to assassinate Donald Trump, much before the former president survived that assassination bid. Iran has denied these allegations and called them malicious and false. Take a look at this special report. 4 years since the commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps was killed by United States on the 3rd of January, Qasem Soleimani is back in news. An exclusive report by CNN has revealed that American authorities were provided intelligence on a plot by Iran to assassinate Donald Trump, much before the day Trump survived the assassination bid, with no indication, though, of whether Thomas Matthew Crooks was connected to this plot. This, according to the report, was a development that led the Secret Service to increase security around the former president. Clearly, as we now know, that did not work. But why Iran? Since Soleimani was killed by the United States, Iran has repeatedly vowed revenge. In fact, former officials of the Trump administration who worked on national security at that time have been provided tight security since leaving the government. In August 2022, the Justice Department announced criminal charges against a member of the Revolutionary Guards for allegedly trying to orchestrate the assassination of John Bolton, who served as Trump's national security advisor. Sources also suggest that former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was a target of an Iranian assassination plot. Trump's former national security advisor, Robert O'Brien, also had a U.S. government security detail due to threats from Iran, which was recently dropped. While the report accuses Iran of conspiracy, Iran's permanent mission to the United Nations has denied any involvement. It stated, "These accusations are unsubstantiated and malicious. From the perspective of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Trump is a criminal who must be prosecuted for ordering the assassination of General Soleimani. Iran has chosen the legal path to bring him to justice." Whether the world will ever know the truth is a wait-and-watch game. But the cracks within the US-Iran relationship are only expected to deepen with these latest allegations. All right, let's get a perspective on this. On the broadcast, I'm joined by Raymond Vickery, Senior Associate, Center for Strategic and International Studies. I'm also joined by Ray Locker, Senior Journalist and Author. Good evening and namaskar to both of you. Welcome to Mirror Now. Raymond Vickery, let me start with you. Now, it's being said that the Iranian angle might not have been there in the latest assassination bid that Donald Trump survived. But do you believe there could be a connection?
Thanks very much for having me. I believe that at this time it is certain that the flames of violence are being fanned everywhere. Of course, Iran has tried to seek revenge for the killing of its general, who the United States claimed was on the battlefield. There's no evidence at this time of a link between what happened in Pennsylvania and Iran. But the bigger picture is one of what a foreign policy of Donald Trump and his followers means for peace in the world, not only in regard to Iran, but across the board. And as you may recall, the administration of Obama had tried to work out a modus vivendi with Iran to damp down violence. Unfortunately, the Trump administration didn't follow through on that. In fact, doubled down on hostility. It may be that there will be attempts by Iran to ramp this up. Unfortunately, it's the case that a Trump administration will play right into that. So I believe that at this time, what is called for by all of us is to try to focus on issues to see how principles of Gandhi, Martin Luther King can be applied both domestically and internationally to try to be able to wage peace. You know, periodically, the world has gone into these spasms of violence, and the outcome has been devastating. We have to do everything we can to prevent that, particularly.
Let me take this across to Ray Locker, Raymond. Ray, the fact that Iran has denied these accusations, they've said that they're taking the legal route to prosecute Donald Trump for the assassination and the revenge that they want for the killing of Qasem Soleimani. How much do you buy that? Do you think, these are just words and action could be different? Or do you think that, yes, they wouldn't have a role actually in all of this?
No, I don't believe the Iranian government, certainly not in this case. I think there was probably credible evidence picked up by the National Security Agency or some other intelligence agency of chatter out there in the world that something was happening vis-a-vis Iran relative to Trump. I don't know what that is. I don't know if we'll ever know what that is. And if the government told us what it was, it would probably reveal some of their intelligence sources. So we may never know. I certainly don't think they made it up. And I think the Iranians have plenty of reasons to not want Donald Trump on the political scene anymore. So I don't believe them, but who knows? I mean, I think you would be foolish to discount that and say, "Oh, I don't believe it." I mean, somebody took a shot at Donald Trump on Saturday, regardless of who it was or what his connections were. So you blow those things off at your own peril.
Okay, Raymond, also I want to, shift our focus to the Secret Service being talked about and how there were loopholes, there were lapses on their part. And this report by CNN just goes on to sort of validate those concerns. You know, the fact that the security agencies in America already had this intel where they were, increasing the security around Donald Trump reflects how there were clear lapses on Saturday when Donald Trump was shot at. If that was increased security and that could not save the bullet from being shot at Donald Trump, what is the state of security then?
Was that for me? Well, basically, you can never have too much security.
That was for Raymond. Ray, I'll come to you.
Okay.
Well, I think it is absolutely
Raymond
plain.
This was for you, yeah.
It's absolutely plain that there have been lapses in United States security. You don't have a guy who's on the top of a building only 200 yards from the president, the former president, who is able to take kind of shots. But, the broader question is one of violence. It's one of gun control. Joe Biden has advocated doing away with these military-style weapons. We're awash with them in the United States. That's what this young man was using. He's able to get off 7 shots in a matter of seconds, and it enabled the kind of attack which took place. But it's plain that there are lapses. But there were lapses with the murders and assassinations in India, as well as previously in the United States. Security is never going to be perfect, and what has to happen is have a atmosphere and environment in which this kind of violence is not promoted.
Sure. Ray, this is something that is perhaps not being talked about as much as it should have been after the assassination bid on Trump. Tighter gun laws, gun control in the United States. Why aren't the Republicans talking about it? Why isn't anybody talking about just stopping gun culture in the United States?
Well, many people are talking about stopping gold culture in the United States. They're just not members of the Republican Party. Now, this is something that's been going on for a long time. I think you can trace it back to the civil rights era in the 1960s. I mean, after that, starting in the early 1970s, the National Rifle Association really turned up the rhetoric about people arming themselves. And been promoting a culture of fear. And in the meantime, we have seen more and more mass shootings, many involving automatic weapons that nobody in the United States needs to have. I mean, Pennsylvania is hunting country. Many real hunter will tell you you don't need an AR-15 to go hunting. That's a weapon that's really only meant to kill people. And so how did it get in this guy's hands? And not only that, but Donald Trump toured the factory that made this weapon. He has promoted this gun culture time and time again at the Republican National Convention. There are giveaways for AR-15s. I mean, the irony is stunning, but yet they're not calling for, a ban or reinstating the ban on these assault weapons that existed between 1994 and 2004, but they should. And this is not a partisan position. Most Americans think that it's astonishing that somebody can get an AR-15 and take a shot at anyone, much less the former president of the United States.
Yeah. Ray, also let me then ask you, just how this whole political campaign has changed since the assassination bid. And while, of course, this will work in favor of the Republicans, the kind of sympathy that Donald Trump is getting after Saturday, will Democrats be sort of relieved that, an Iranian hand in this entire saga has been claimed by a CNN report, perhaps just taking away the focus from Democrats being blamed for this entire situation?
Maybe, but I don't think the Democrats are actively promoting this Iranian angle to take the heat off themselves. I mean, the claim that the assassination attempt was the fault of Democrats has always seemed ridiculous to me. I mean, Donald Trump has been a tremendously divisive candidate and president. I'm not saying he deserved to be shot at, but he has been a divisive person, and he has had his share of, very controversial statements about, his opponents, other candidates, et cetera. So I don't believe that, the Democrats are responsible for this. Will they take some comfort in the fact that there's an Iranian angle? I really doubt it.
Okay. Raymond Vickery, when we talk about the US-Iran relationship, it has never been, one of the most healthiest or most friendliest, if we can call it. But how do you see this really moving forward now with the kind of allegations that have now come in from the American side?
Well, I think it really depends very much on who wins this election. If Trump wins the election, it's plain that he's going to double down on hostility between the United States and Iran. Joe Biden and the Democrats have taken a much more tempered view. And perhaps if you can get some of the other issues, particularly the Gaza war and the involvement of Israel in that situation, yeah, there can be some possibility for damping this down. But it really is very much dependent upon the American people in terms of whether or not they want to go down the road of increased international hostilities and ultranationalism. That's what's at stake here. And it seems to me the Democrats have to focus on that because, as Ray has said, the majority of Americans are not in favor of having military-style rifles out there in the United States. And yet we have 50 million of them. We're awash with guns here. But it is now
Which is
going
fair,
to go
Raymond, which is a fair
forward.
point, but you know, they might not want rifles and guns out on streets, but the fact of the matter, Ray, is also that a majority of Americans don't want wars. And that is something that the Trump supporters keep saying, that the Biden administration has seen two wars, the Israel-Hamas war and the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and a direct or an indirect connection with the United States there. So clearly that is also being considered by Americans this year when they go out to vote.
Well, I would disagree with the assessment that the Biden administration are responsible for either of those wars. Um, they happened while Biden was president, but he didn't encourage them. I mean, President Trump's supporters can say whatever they want, but I don't believe that's necessarily so. I mean, basically, the Trump foreign policy would have given Russia control of
But there are
Ukraine,
reports that
war
US
or not.
has been supplying arms and ammunition to Ukraine. Isn't that true?
Yes, they have been. And why wouldn't they? Ukraine is a sovereign nation that was invaded by a neighboring nation with no reason. And the United States and most of Europe is supporting Ukraine by supplying them with weapons. I mean, I don't know what people would have us do. Just say, okay, fine, Russia, go ahead and take over Ukraine, by launching a war. When will that stop? Which is, we don't want to have a war, so we'll just let you take over Ukraine. It doesn't make any sense. And I think the vast majority of the American
Ray,
people
but how
and
can you
American
ask
elected
people to
officials don't
stop
agree with
war
that.
and then be supplying arms to one of the sides in the war?
I just don't think that unilateral disarmament works in this situation. I think there needs to be a negotiated settlement in Ukraine. I think clearly Ukraine is going to end up giving up territory that it used to hold because that's probably the only way they're going to get out of this thing. But to say, well, we're not going to supply you with weapons, meanwhile, other people are supplying Russia with weapons, that just doesn't make sense to me.
All right, we leave it there. Let's see how this really moves forward. Ray Locker and Raymond Vickery, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on Nation Tonight and sharing your perspectives. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.